Okay, so today in this video, we're going to cover a unit of organic chemistry, a concept that's extremely important and is always tested. So we're going to cover nomenclature. While naming organic compounds, it sounds extremely hard and it's terrifying. It's actually a very easy process if you simply follow all the rules that are put together and simply understand and grasp the concept. Also practice a lot. So, IUPAC is the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. It's an international organization that sets the basic groundwork and rules for naming of all chemicals. So, we're going to be focusing on the basic rules for the naming of organic compounds in this video according to the IUPAC rules. So, these rules are extremely important since they allow scientists from around the globe to communicate with each other effectively because they know what chemicals they're talking about. And it also ensures that the same chemical does not have multiple names, which would lead to confusion while, say, discussing research, current research, writing research papers, publishing them across the globe. Again, I would like to reiterate the fact that naming organic compounds only sounds complicated. Once you get the hang of it, it's cakewalk. Personally, I think naming compounds is actually extremely fun and it's very scoring because it's a technical process. If you get the concept, if you remember the names, you cannot make a mistake. And if you practice. The process of naming can be broken down into multiple steps in order to ensure correct naming and in order to ensure that you're not making mistakes. So it's a multiple step process. So we're going to start with step one, of course, which is identifying the number of carbons in a long chain. So while both the carbon compounds showcased above have the same number of carbon atoms, the number of carbon atoms in the longest chain differs greatly. Hence, the compounds are completely different. While the first one has 4 complete carbon atoms in its structure, only 3 of these carbon atoms are in the longest chain because one of them is a methyl group and is considered to be the side chain. While the second compound has 4 complete carbon atoms in the longest chain. Moving on to step 2, which is counting the number of carbon atoms in the long chain, it gives us the prefix. So step 1 was counting, now it's giving it the prefix, giving it the name. So if there's 1 carbon atom in the longest chain, it's meth. If there are 2, it's eth. If there are 3, it's prop. If there are 4, it's but. If there are 5, it's pent. So while this might sound complicated to begin with, you will have to memorize this. But as you practice questions, it should come naturally to you because you literally only have to remember 5 things, 5 names. And I don't think that's that hard. Just keep practicing. Now we'll move on to step 3, which is identifying the suffix based on the functional group. So I'm guessing you're familiar with functional groups, you know how to identify them, what their characteristics are. So alkane will end with "ane", alkene will end with "ene", alkyne will end with "ine", alcohol will end with "anol", carboxylic acid will end with "enoic acid". So just to go back to the concept, alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons with they don't have any double bonds or triple bonds, just single bonds completely, and they only have carbon and hydrogen. And alkenes, they have a double bond, one or more double bonds. They're unsaturated hydrocarbons. Alkynes have one or more triple bonds and they are also unsaturated hydrocarbons. Alcohols have a hydroxyl group, which is an OH, and carboxylic acids have a hydroxyl group along with a double bonded O. So you need to remember this. So now step 4, which is indicating the position of the functional group with the number. So you start counting the longest chain. So as you see, both of these compounds right in front of you are butenes, but they're 2 different compounds because of the position of the functional group. So the first one, it's a but2-ene, because it's in the middle of the second and the third carbon atom in the compound. While the first one is a but 1ene because it's between the first and the second carbon atom in the compound. So it's extremely important not to mess this up. It's an easy process. Okay, so now we're just going to go over a few examples for practice. So please pause the video and try to answer these by yourself. So the first one here, this is methane because it has one carbon atom, so that's meth, and it's obviously an alkane, so methane. This right here is a propene because it has three carbon atoms in the longest chain, which gives prop, and then this double bond indicates that it's an ene, so it's a propene. You can write prop 1ene, but that's not necessary because even if it was between the other two carbon atoms, it would still be between carbon atom number 1 and 2, so that'll still be propane. This one right here is another functional group. So this is a butanoic acid because so it has 4 carbon atoms, so that's a but. It has a double bonded O, so we know it's not an alcohol, and there's a hydroxyl, so that's a butanoic acid. Now we're going to go to step number 5. Yes, there's another one. So this is identifying the side chains. So we spoke about in terms of the longest chain now. Now we're going to identify the side chains. So this is a fairly easy concept. So if there's a CH3, it's methyl. If there's a C2H5, it's ethyl. If there's an I, it's iodo. If there's a Br, there's bromo. If there's a Cl, it's a chloro. So these usually are put before the name of the compound. And again, you number it according to where it's placed, on which carbon atom it's placed. So this is an easy concept. Okay, so we are finally done with all the steps involved in nomenclature. So this wasn't that hard. It's not going to be hard if you keep practicing. So here's some practice for you. So just go ahead, pause the video, and I'm going to give the answers in like a few seconds. Okay, so compound A is a propyne because there's a triple bond. It's prop 1-ine. Again, you don't have to write prop 1-ine. You can just say propyne because you can't possibly have prop 2-ine or prop 3-ine. So it's a propyne. Compound B right here is a butanol. It's butan 1-ol. Compound C is not on your portion. I'm sorry. Compound D is a propene. It's prop 1-ene, but then again you can just write propene and that'll be right. Okay, so I hope this video helped you understand the concept of nomenclature, and I hope that you have a little more clarity. However, the clarity will only come to you if you keep practicing, do a lot of past papers. There are lots of online resources, so make use of them and keep practicing.